It's like I got those backwards. All right. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. How's everybody doing? This stream not brought to you by the folks at Coca-Cola, but should be. Starting a little early because I woke up and Seamus, his eyes are all messed up. So his right eye is completely closed. He doesn't want it messed with because I was going to shoot some saline in there. And then his left eye is like got a weird, his like third eyelid, second eyelid is all, and then it's like rolled up. So I have to take him to the vet at 9:30. So in about an hour and a half. So anyways, good morning to everybody. Just another day in the Kelly household. How's everybody's holiday weekend here in the U.S.? Thanksgiving, where we like to do things up. Well, what's up, Kev? Victor, good to see you. Wayne, Roger, being the first one, good to see you. M. Katron, Hoos, good morning, Hoos. Ryan, good morning. Joe, good morning. Thanks for coming in as usual. Yeah, and the thing is, he's diabetic, so I don't know if it's diabetic related. And on top of, like, I know somebody who tunes in is, I don't ask for TNT, and all this guy's talking about is his dog. Last time I tuned in, it was his cat. So Augie was trying to jump on the couch. Seamus is like laying down in front of it, and Augie's like, I can make it, and he goes up to jump up on the couch and doesn't make it and kind of lands on Seamus's head. So I'm hoping that it's not like, you know, he got poked in the eye with a cat paw, because that won't be good at all. So he's a little, you know, he's going blind due to diabetes. So he usually can maneuver himself pretty well, but this morning was like, he's either disoriented or because of his eyes being messed up, he genuinely can't see anything. So where I think before he could probably see shadows. So a couple things he's banged into, which really kind of breaks my heart. So, but not to burden you with all the fun that's going on in the Kelly house. How's everybody doing? All right, so I figured we could start with the, you know, what are you thankful for? I hope we have a long list of things to be thankful for. But I don't want to do that today. Maybe, I don't know. You guys maybe can weigh in. The other option is like sharing deals. Because I all love a deal. So I don't know if it's like, if you saw a deal, some of them have been posted in our Discord. So maybe like there. But if you come across some good deals that people should know about, some of them might be, some of them will be expired if somebody doesn't tune into this live. But if there's a good deal that you guys are aware of, I wanted to share with the community that maybe some of us aren't aware of. That might be something good. Do you run holiday themed games? Well, that's another question we could put out there. Thanks, Victor. Do you run holiday themed games? We'll do both. Like, do you run a holiday themed game, and is there a Black Friday special that people could take advantage of? I don't know. I could have done like I could have probably streamed yesterday and said, hey, I'm going to do a Black Friday themed stream and just go through some of the details of everything that's being offered. I know some tech tubers do that, like Trish Hirschberger does that for like Amazon deals. I don't know. I don't know how exciting that would be for me, but you never know. So, anyways, we could go with run holiday themed games. I'm going to wait till a few people trickle in here, too. Like, they're probably wondering, like, how it started so early. Plus, it's holiday, so they might be preoccupied, if you will. It's not the same normal Saturday schedule as some people may usually have. Ryan, good to see you. Says, I do not run holiday games, but Goodman has a handful of them, which I do own. Victor says, I'm not a fan of mixing real-life holiday in my games, but I do like running in-world holiday adventures. Well, that's a good point. Maybe it's like, what holidays do you include in your RPG, given the holiday season? What's up, Aragon? Good to see you. More snow. It's kind of the deal, right, Colorado? I mean, not unless you're in the mountains. Orcus Dorcas, morning. Morning to all the West Coasters, diehards. Anyone have a compiled list of all the sales going on this weekend? I should have done that. And then just put links in a stream. People go just through the notes. So there is some confusion on what the question is for me. It's like, why don't we do this? And then I switch it. Do you run a holiday themed game? And I think what Victor meant was like not based on the holidays, like I interpreted and said, oh, it's Halloween season. I will run a horror game. So I think what he's talking about is in your RPG that you are running, do you have a holiday? Do you inject a holiday into an RPG session with your group in the game? Hence the holiday themed game, right? Am I right, Victor? What my shirt? The print's too small. Like Joe was thinking what I was. I was seemed to plan too late to run a holiday game. See, I think that's the page I was on. Thanks, Zeus, about the dog. Gabe, good to see you, buddy. Lurkin, maybe I'll do a holiday adventure this year with Dragon Mane for analytic dice. Yeah, so not like, hey, it's Krampus season, so let's run a Krampus game. Do you have a holiday that you inject into your game as like something? Like Brett and I did one of those. It's one of the topics that stood out like early on from a topic that we did on Gaming and BS podcast. Was holidays in your RPG world, like, and we probably, I would think, would have recorded it around the holidays. So do you have like holidays from the campaign setting? Is there one that you make up and that you've put in your game? Like it's interesting, like the modern world and the holiday seasons and the different holidays that we have, and they're celebrated differently. Like, you know, Canada Thanksgiving isn't as robust or over the top as American Thanksgiving. But there's still Thanksgiving, right? The whole purpose of it, right? So let's admit it, there's people that go utterly bonkers about holidays. Like whether it's one holiday or a specific one, like people may just find their favorite and just go all out. Like Halloween, I'm going to put in like real tombstones throughout my front yard and do it all up and Christmas, people do all their lights and put music to it and put it on YouTube and let people control their lights and all that stuff and go, it's like the National Lampoon's Family Vacation Christmas. So, Gabe, he says, I have holidays in Against the Dark Master. Holidays are common in my big fantasy games. So can you give us an example of one, Gabe? I know you don't want to go, you don't have to give us all the rituals and, everything, the traditions that are associated with such a holiday, but just curious if you happen to have one. Here, I should just read faster. It says the usual ones, solstices and equinoxes. Always big ones, like something, and sometimes it's, they could be equivalent to the harvest and things of that nature. Flint Fireforge, good to see you. Anubis. Hey, Anubis says happy Thanksgiving. Thanks. Anubis, you celebrate Thanksgiving over there? Orcus Dorcas says, not really about the holiday, but when I run or play Rune Quest, there is an abundance of religious holidays or holy days that come up or are touched upon on occasion. Very nice. Kevin says, I've never done holiday-specific games in-game or in-game holidays, just never thought of it. Well, there you go, Kevin. I think they're good if they're a good setup. I've run one game. I think it was Pathfinder's Rise of the Rune Lords. I think the first module centers around a holiday. And frankly, it's a good theme to make some to convey some motivations or instill. I don't know, provide some motivations. Like if it's a holiday, there's a celebration going on. Maybe it's like ours. Trek home, trek to the family. Certain things are done. Festivals are similar, I would say. Festivals could be based around a holiday too, right? Says Flint Fireforge. Gabe says, more specific, my opening scenario features a kin gathering at the Kingstones in the summer solstice. Everyone gets together and shares genetic material. Well, there you go. Nothing like a holiday to bring the genomes together. The genomes, they're a family that lives down the street. Ryan says, oh, it's a masked ball. How will I ever find the assassin now? Yeah. Well, I mean, there could be a lot of hubbubaloo around a holiday in your game. One shots, it would work really well. So BS or Con, if you're running a convention game, one shot, throw it down. And you know what? Not only could it be an interesting dynamic as far as like bringing a group of people together in your game, that may be kind of, it might help things, but it could also be one of those things that you do to make things more difficult, right? Going to Ryan's masked ball thing, or you just happen to wander into a town and it's their holiday and you're like trying to find something or trying to peel back the mystery, and it's during a holiday, which makes it even more interesting, right? Kevin Keneally says Sly Flourish runs Ravenloft around Halloween, and this year he used Shadow Dark for it to great success. Speaking of Sly Flourish, I am interested in, I have an article, a blog entry that he did, and I was going to talk about it today, so we'll see if we get there. We're going to be short on time because I got a boogie to take care of my dog. Victor says celebrations are great for hooks, for sure. Wayne Peacock says, I've run holiday games, but not always. But make-believe holidays for may make-believe games. It's been a while. I think it happened more when I ran year-plus campaigns in the same setting. Sounds Italian. Or is it French? Sounds French. Isn't it French? Fragile? Or does he say, is it Italian? Do I have it mixed up? Does everybody know Roger's reference? Nuba says, Thanksgiving is a fully American thing, I think. We do have 2 Halloweens now that we've adopted yours. Oh, interesting. That's cool. Canadian. We won't take all the credit. Canadians got Thanksgiving. Just notice the shirt, Dorcas. You got to squint. You got to blow up the zoom in. Flint says, I wanted to make Krampus a big bad this year simply because I have a model I've never used. That's motivation enough. See you later, Kev. Thanks for dropping in. Happy holidays, buddy. Thanks, Wayne. The Genome family down the street sounds Italian. Fragile is Italian. So Roger was referencing the Genome family. I'm referencing the Christmas Story, right? So I haven't injected holidays into my RPGs probably as frequently as I should. Oh, it's Delta Green. It takes place over Christmas. Like, I don't know. Could. I do think they should be utilized more. I think there's a heap of stuff there. It could be a smelly heap of stuff there, but it could still be something to fuel. There's fuel there, folks. Fragile, kind of like Abby Normal. The Christmas Story. I think he says it's French. It sounds French. Fragile. It's the one-leg lamp. You guys ever watch that movie? So I will say, somebody mentioned a little Sly Flourish. I just want to bring up something he brought up here. And that's not going to do it. Let me, everything was working today smoothly. And then I forgot to, of course, put the browser in there, which I always have to do at the time. You'd think after doing this for 2 years, I would have this down, but there we go. There we go. That's probably better, huh? Nope. Fragile is French. Part of the joke is he pronounces it as if it's Italian. Oh, okay. That's what it was. Thanks, Wayne. That's too funny. So I want to. This will be kind of brief, but there was kind of whose blog entries are getting some attention and everything, and Slides came up. Talking about, do we need here? I'll put the link in the. Do we need another PHB? Now, it's not really. Yeah, I would agree, Orcus. Look, I like Mike. I like what he does. It's fun. Yes, he is D&D to the core. And I'm waiting for him to move on. I don't know if he will. He's tried other games. Dude, he is. And it's not the only game he plays. I know that. So I want to give Mike credit where credit is due. But in this article, one of the things he brings up is like, do we need another player's handbook? WotC's coming out with, they don't want to call it 6th edition. They don't want to call it 5.5. They don't want to call it, I don't even know if they want to call it 1D&D anymore. Apparently they're calling it 2024 revised D&D core books. They're going to release them in 2024. They're still hashing them out. They're still talking about what's going into them. Alpha Stream, Teos Abadiah did a video on a bunch of stuff that was put in there from a summit that they had, and called a bunch of people to Wizards of the Coast to talk about what they're doing with the next iteration of D&D. And that was, God, it might have been a year ago now. And some of these things have stemmed from that. But one of the things that it goes from that to some other pieces. He isn't Sly also pandering to an audience? I don't know if pandering would be the correct word necessarily. So, I mean, let's face it. We all have our niche. Like, some of us have our niche, right? Like, they're a D&D blogger. They're a D&D YouTuber, whatever. That's what they cover. D&D, Wizards of the Coast, they're all in, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? I want to put that out there. But this kind of perplexes me. And this is why I wanted to bring it up. Flint Fifer, I'll take over/under on Sly moving from D&D to Shadowdark. And he is, I think, playing Shadowdark now, because I think somebody, did Kevin say that above? I don't know. Anyways, in this article, love 5. Yes, I love 5e. You know the deal. In this article, he talks about, like, do we need a PHB handbook? And then he kind of asks why, right? So do we really need new ones? Because there's a lot of them out there. And they said that everything's going to be compatible, which we've heard before when they did 5e, that every previous edition will be compatible with the most recent in 5e. Great. Whether somebody wants to debate that piece is entirely up to them. But regardless, he talks about, but if we stay with the 2014 books, don't we need to fix them? And he says, not really. Okay, so he goes from nerfs to open conversations. So this is the piece that I wanted to get to. So it was like, where are you going with this? Now he kind of puts it out there. He didn't bury the lead. Or did he, I guess? I don't know. Anyways, he says, I discussed the question at length with fellow lazy DMs over Sly Flourish Discord. That's members only. That's available to patrons. And he shot a YouTube video called House Rules for the 2014 D&D Player's Handbook. Okay, great. What do we need to fix? Quote, he says, fix the 2014 D&D Player's Handbook to keep it vibrant and useful for the next 10 years, or 20 or 50 or 200. Wayne says, Teos and Sly comment and play on other RPGs, but only from a D&D perspective. Yeah, nothing wrong with that, but they will not move. Okay, so here we go. So he said, okay. So one of the things he says is, I came up with a big list of changes for spells I don't like. Banishment, Hero's Feast, Force Cage, Counterspell, Shield, and the various conjure spells. But this list was just a bunch of nerfs. Sure, some of these spells are either overturned, clunky, or make life for a DM harder, but do they really need to be fixed? Okay, bear with me. What if instead we just, because this could happen in any game, 5e is just the 300-pound gorilla. What if instead we just talk to our players about why these spells are burdensome and how they disrupt the game? Maybe we can come to an agreement about them. For example, a common issue with a lot of spells. Now, say D&D, maybe it's not D&D. Say it's an insert game here. Okay? Whatever. What if instead, okay, for example, a common issue with a lot of spells is how effective they are against boss monsters. Wait, looking at Augie. Sorry. Banishing one of 4 giants is one thing. Banishing the big bad evil guy is a whole different story. Legendary resistance helps, but only if they have it, and typically we don't see monsters with legendary resistance before CR 11 or so. What if we gave more bosses legendary resistance and also the ability to use legendary resistances to break out of other effects like the chain stunning of a monk, a force cage, or other effects that are simply too effective on bosses? Bear with me. Just talk to the players, Gabe laughs. And we can just explain this to our players. Look, it says, quote, look, a lot of things you might use to lock down monsters won't work on boss monsters. End quote. Every major video game figured this out. You don't pin down bosses in World of Warcraft or Diablo with a single ability. Game designers nerf the minute they prove to be overpowered. Conjure Animals gives a single player up to 9 turns and a round if they summon 8 wolves with each pack tactics and a knockdown ability. That's 27 possible D20 rolls on a single player's turn. How about we ask our players, every time he says that, we should drink. We should ask our players, for the sake of the enjoyment of the game, to not summon more than 1 or 2 creatures. Those people I discussed this with resonated much better with this approach than just a bunch of direct nerfs. It's addressing the actual problem instead of just the mechanics of a single spell. Now, I would argue that you're not addressing the actual problem because by addressing the actual problem, you would just play a different game. That doesn't do this at all. Because that's what the game is. Like, that's the game you're playing. That's kind of what you're signing up for, kind of. That's my take, okay? That's why I'm kind of like, this will spur a little discussion. I got my wheels turning because I'm like, but as a player, but like, that's what I do. Like, right? Like, it's like is it the frog and scorpion story? The never-ending slog to make 5e perfectly balanced game in all ways, which is why it is becoming more and more watered down, says Orcus Dorcas. So he goes on, discuss during session 0, which great. I think session 0 is valuable. Of course, you want to talk about it in session 0 if you want to talk about it. So if you're going to have this conversation, he says, have it during session 0 before players start making characters, right? This way they know what's acceptable and what isn't. So you could probably nerf, like, so then you start like throwing things at the wall, like, hey, no, we're gonna play 5e all human campaign. We're gonna play 5e level caps. Hey, we're gonna call 5e low magic, can't use these spells. Well, that's fine. House rules have been around since the dawn of time. As a matter of fact, some of our favorite games come from house rules. So it continues. A player considering an enchanter might think differently if they know they can't pin down every boss in the game with a well-placed hypnotic pattern. Most importantly, your requests won't come as a surprise in the heat of things. Have a rational conversation before the game begins so no one is surprised. Well, that's for sure. There's no question about that. It's pulling it out in the end right before the big boss monster. Not the ideal place to say, like, hey, by the way. But here's the thing, though. Do you have to? Do you have to talk about it? Them take all their optimizations and things of that nature, and they get to the boss monster and it doesn't work. Because Mike is going by the rules, right? Like, as a game master, he's like, here's my monster stat block. I don't work outside of this monster stat block. And some of us are like, dude, monster stat block to the wind. Screw game balance. I could do whatever I want. But I still think that there's an overwhelming sense of I am, as the game master, play by the rules of the book. And you as the players play by the rules of the book. And we've all agreed that this tome is the be-all, end-all. Even though there's rule 0 in some of those RPG books that say, hey, in the end, your GM makes the call. Okay, so he continues, so does the 2014 PHP need to be fixed? Maybe we don't need to fix anything, he says. Every time I suggested fixes the 2014 Player's Handbook, people told me it works just fine for them. Many groups still run and enjoy even older versions of D&D. So in some games, this isn't even a factor, right? Because every game is different. Given the sheer number of 2014 Player's Handbooks out there, I expect many groups will continue to play 2014 D&D for a long time, for sure. Some of them won't play any other game for the rest of their lives. And that's fine. Hey, you do you, right? Nothing wrong with that. Above all, we shouldn't forget that the important part of this game is getting together with our friends to enjoy some laughs while sharing tales of high adventure. As long as we agree on it, we can have fun with any RPG. And I think that's it from the Sly game. Now I got to read all the comments as everybody's like chiming in. Morning, William. Good to see you. Welcome. Gabe says, yes, to be clear, Mr. Lurker. He's, in my experience, the players play by the book. They do not like those rules getting changed. The book is the game, the contract. Exactly. For sure. And I don't think that's wrong necessarily. Like, I don't know if that's bad or good. It depends on the game you're playing. That's probably, I got to say, Gabe, it's probably one of the things, or one of the reasons I'm guessing you play Swords and Wizardry, right? You're like, or Conan 2D. Like, I think we, as game masters, because a lot of us are game masters, and I'm sure a ton of people that subscribe to Sly and Mike through his Patreon are probably dungeon masters. They probably are, right? A majority of his following is probably DMs. And so they're experiencing some of these things. And I think, like, why am I not playing 5th edition anymore? Well, that's because it's not fun to me. Why is it not fun to me? Kind of going down and drilling down, and we get to the root cause, right? It's the style of play. It's the type of characters that are portrayed. It's the type of adventures. It's the rules I don't really care for. Whatever the reason is for anybody in any game. It doesn't even have to be 5th edition. Could be anything. Could be like the same reason somebody doesn't like Forbidden Lands, which is really weird to me, but whatever. Okay. Well, they don't like the resource die. Okay, great. They don't like I'm always having to struggle all the time. Why do I have to struggle with doing X? Why can't I just do it? Because I'm not just an average person, and I don't like playing a game and being a player character that's just an average person. Like, whatever. So I think, like, Gabe, using you as an example, I apologize, putting you on the spot, but you like Swords and Wizardry and Conan 2D20. I don't think that's a secret. That's out on the Discord. Gabe's a big fan of either. But they're two, like, way different games, right? Not the genre necessarily in what Gabe is conveying, but I understand the appeal of, if I want, if you have players at the table and they're going to look at the book and they say, this is it. Like, everything in here in this book is what we are allowed to do and take on. And if you feel like, I want to run faster and loose, Swords and Wizardry, right? Yeah, okay. Because you know why? It's a framework and there's not a lot of rules in there anyway. And the rules are that there isn't as many rules, or it's not as tactical as, Pathfinder 2E is. But then when I want to bust out the miniatures and I want to get more tactical, and I'm good with that type of style play, busted out the 2E Pathfinder or whatever, right? So we as game masters can ebb and flow with our own personal preferences and the games that we want to run and play. So anyways, and Gabe says, yes, to be clear, in my experience, the players play, you already mentioned that. I'm reading it again. What's up, Nelson? Good to see you, buddy. Gabe says, bring on PHB second printing. Harrigan says, play the game in front of you. Then when you discover it's 5e, pack it up and put a different game on the table. I kid, he says. He doesn't, but I appreciate the effort, Harrigan. Victor says, side note, Paizo did a refresh recently. In that refresh, they changed some things. One being the removal of alignment and a change from race to ancestries. I've not dug into the details yet, though. Yeah. The moment I hear or read someone compare RPG mechanics to how it's done in a video game, the red flags begin to pop up. Amen, Orcus, Wayne says. Yeah. You have flags. Ryan says, I mean, the argument being made here isn't even addressed. You're talking about game rules. Cool. Wizards of the Coast wants money, and I'm not even sure they care about rules. Wayne says, isn't part of the enjoyment of D&D system mastery? Isn't part of mastery figuring out the loopholes? Harrigan says, yeah, Gabe plays Conan 2D20 so he can do what he wants. No player has the fortitude to get through that. But here's the thing with Conan 2D20, it has a meta currency. So if I want to, as a game master, inflict something upon a party, one could argue that Conan 2D20 or a game with meta currency, bennies, maybe bennies, I guess, to some extent, the Doom pool from Conan 2D20, Threat in Star Trek Adventures, like those games, say GM Intrusions in Cypher System, those games say, hey, Game Master, it doesn't have to be willy-nilly. You don't have to pull things right out of your butt. Like, and then the players will accuse you of just being, you're being a dick because I want to do this and now you're being a dick. No, I'm not being a dick. I have a rule right here that says I can do this. I can spend this point and then I can be a dick. And there's nothing wrong with that. But let's just got to call it like it is. Okay, it's maybe not being a dick, but there is a mechanical value to being able to do that. Because I still think, and this is the biggest thing, I think when we address these types of issues, is that the players are like, I don't trust the game master. Or the game master is maybe running roughshod or not doing the things that we like to do and have fun with. So it's like everything we try to do, the game master squashes. And they arbitrarily do it, not because it's, hey, I got this thing I can spend that allows me to do that. And I have 10 of them because you guys have just been doing all your stuff and all the tables have turned, like Destiny points in Star Wars, right? So now they're all dark side. So now I get to go crazy and use those dark side points to sway the outcomes or potentially sway them, because a lot of these things aren't, some of these meta currencies aren't hard and fast. They just give you maybe a little boon to maybe inflict some changes in what's going on, like sway the momentum. Oh, hey, another one, right? I think that's what it comes down to. Where if you just say, look, we're playing OSE, I'm going to, run away is an option, and you set those tones during session 0, and that's the way you're going to roll. Because I think even if you're a player with some modern day, pardon me, if you are a player and you encounter certain design differences in role-playing games, and like, hey, I'm used to playing this type of game, and now you're moving me over to this other side, that's a big difference. Like, we're going to play Castles and Crusades. I think it's going to be very similar to 3.0, honestly. We'll see. I think Jeff wants to play old school, but we're going to I don't know if he's in the chat. I don't think he is today. I think Jeff and hey, let's play some old school. We're going to play Castles and Crusades. And I have a feeling much of the feel of that game is going to be very much 3.0 for me. Not bad. It's like just it is. Like, I think there's just going to be a difference in the style of play. And I think that style of play is going to be leaning more on that 3-0 piece. We'll see. I could be wrong. Wayne says, isn't part of the enjoyment of D&D system... Okay, I mentioned that. God, sorry, guys. I keep reiterating the same thing. And the only reason is because a lot of people look at a comment and then they say, yes, I exactly agree with Wayne. Ryan says, exactly, Wayne. Seeing players utilize game rules brilliantly is part of the fun. Like digging into the books. That's what they'll do, right? Dig into the books, look at their character sheet. It's a different game. That's kind of that's how it's designed, I think, is what I'm trying to get to Mike. And now he's realizing, like, dude, Mike, I think, needs to move on from 5e. Could be a 5e derivative, could be Shadow Dark, could be Tales of the Valiant, could be Pathfinder, or whatever it is. But I'm like, if that stuff is bothering you, that is a hard sell to say, look, D&D guys, you can't do all the cool stuff that you've always wanted to do and read and looked at. And it's going to become more robust because they're putting out more arcana. They've got all kinds of different species, race, ancestries, what have you, that's going to play and futz with that component. Or you just have to say, look, it's weird. The monster that you usually banish isn't, like, it's not happening with this guy for some reason. Discussion ensues. Books are thrown in the snow. So Wayne says, so if the loopholes, he continues, so if the loopholes are making that kind of game not fun, then I see the only way around it is to fix the rules or, shocker, play another game. Saltheart says, I've had a few 5e players who do enjoy builds that do fun things with the rules. And yes, that is one of the ways they enjoy the game. Absolutely. Yes. Agreed. I agree with Kevin. If that's the game that you as the game master and they as the players are all agreement in. Like, that's just the deal. That's the deal. You put the big, bad, evil guy in front of the players and they frickin' squash it in one blow. Hey. Somebody's trying to tell a story. And this story is about the struggle. And the struggle all comes to a head when you face the big, bad, evil guy and there's a big boss fight. Boss fight. Ready, go. Like, it's, there is a sense of irony that is not lost on me. Like, wait a minute. So you're not a fan of us using the powers that we've acquired over, I don't know, 10 or 14 levels. And we go up against your boss monster that is too weak for, it's not balanced or whatever, and we come in and we dismiss it. Boom, gone. And it's the end of the campaign. The GM in their brain is like, I want it to be epic and big and people are on the floor and down and it's chaos and oh my God, characters are going to die. What are we going to do? And there's a struggle and the big boss. It's like every movie, right? There is something to it. Like, how great would Star Wars be if they never blew up the Death Star? And it's just like, oh, well, continues on. There's no lightsaber battle between Luke and Darth Vader or the Emperor. There's a battle, but, you know, it's the strike. It's like, it's back and forth. We all know Luke's going to win, right? Spoilers. But, you know, for the sake of screen time, we can't have it end in 10 seconds or less than a minute, right? That fight scene, it's got to be a few minutes, right? Orcus Dorcas says a lot of this seems to be DMs nerfing stuff so players have less an influence on their world that they, the GM, feels is unfair to whatever it is they are trying to accomplish. Salthart says, be kind, don't nerf. It's hard to just say that. Like, can you imagine this conversation? Hey, session 0. Hey, so we're gonna play 5th edition. But I just want to throw out there, like, hey, so these spells, this one, I'm ruling out. You can't use them. Or you can use them, but just know that they're not going to have an effect on everything. That might be a valid conversation, right? That might be like, hey, just kind of pointing things out, like, just because it works on every single monster, there are things that there are unanswerable things that are in this world, things that may not make sense. And that's what makes them mysterious and fantastical. So I think there's an element of that, right? It goes back to some of us where it's like, oh, I was just talking to us to the Thursday night guys about Castles and Crusades and picking a class. And I'm like, well, gee, what class am I going to pick? Well, I could pick fighter. I could pick paladin. I could pick wizard and illusionist and, druid and monk. And, let's say I play I don't know, if I play a fighter, what should I play? Oh, I don't know. Or what does that look like? I don't know, probably have a sword and armor and hit points and probably a feat and power attack. And I get to like go in there and kick ass. Okay. What if I pick like wizard? What spells will I be able to pick? Oh, I don't know. Shield and magic missile and sleep and charm and fireball. And like and that's a different game, but it's kind of not to me sometimes. Like, so what are we trying to get out of this stuff? Oh, it's a troll. It's a troll. Oh, troll. It's obviously a troll. Troll. You got to put some oil. Who's got the oil? You got to get some oil, and I light a torch. I got the torch. Man, I'm gonna light the oil. All right. So how's that go? Oh, I stick my metal dagger in the monster, and it like disintegrates. Oh, okay. All right. Well, it's a rust monster. Don't use anything metal. Everything will be fine. I gotta say, with DCC and some of the homebrew stuff that people come up with, like some of the stuff that's like, I don't know what this is. That's what we loved about learning this stuff when we were young and playing. Like, we didn't know any of that. We're like, what? Oh my God. And then once we encountered them a few times, we kind of got the deal. Is that a bad thing? Is that a good thing? I don't know. Victor says, my nephew loves trying new things out with loopholes. He's found even if it's not min-maxing, especially if it's not min-maxing. He built a healer out of a warlock with vampiric spells. Yeah. Shambot42, good to see you. My friend's 10-year-old son just recently wanted to run D&D for his classmates. One of the things that we are stressing to him is to not betray the trust of the players and how that will limit him. Good parental guidance. It's tough. It's tough because sometimes you don't inherently betray the trust of the players. They just don't trust you, even though you're running it by the book. And then you have to kind of show your diagram. Like, look, here's my schematic. Like, this is how I happen to do it. I didn't pull punches. Like, it has these things. I was play a solo game. Ryan West said, I had a player have a fit when I presented the group with overwhelming odds, like Han Solo walking into the room full of stormtroopers. I told him there are no class-level encounters in my games. Yeah. Nerfing bad, throw shit out, in session 0 good. Victor Wyatt, the healer wasn't all that effective, but he had fun with it. Orcus Dorcas, bring balance to the Force, not your RPG. Heyo. Flipfire Forge, arm your big bads as part of the story to deal with players' abilities. Give big bads magic items or warn the players that the battle is taking place in an area that makes spells act wonky. Accidental Rob, good to see you. Morning. Ryan says, Luke says, what's that on the Emperor's robe and pushes him into the pit that Darth Vader should have thrown him down. No, that's not epic enough. Right. As a game master, I want this to be epic. You guys are not epicing with me. Epic with me. I got to get a shirt. Epic with me. Be epic with me. Saltheart, the classic D&D nerfing is not allowing flying PCs. Happy to have flying PCs in an underground dungeon. Right. Like, I think we're putting, like, there's other ways to handle PCs when they think they've got it all figured out. And you could do it in a way that probably doesn't, like, it's not so ham-fisted, like, oh, nope, doesn't work. Oh, nope, doesn't work. Nope, that doesn't work either. Oh, that's weird. Nope. I mean, you're going to piss off your players eventually. But, yeah, there again, just add really sharp stalactites. Right. Exactly. Okay, so the passage you're going through is 3 feet long, or 3 feet wide. You can't swing a sword. You can poke a sword, but you can't swing a sword. Right? No slashing. Oh man, that's bunk, man. Well, that's them's the breaks. That's cool. I got a crossbow. Fantastic. Nice job. Well done. Where are you? Back of the party. You're going to have a hard time. I go to the front of the party. Well, that's fantastic. Great. Smart move. Like, not a big deal. I just think that if you're playing a game, if you're playing the game where characters are going to be this, and then you're like, well, hold on a second. I don't want you guys to be like that. That is a tough sell, man. That's a tough sell. And it's frankly surprising to me. I think Mike is hitting that. I could be wrong, but some of us play 5e. We run 5e. It's fantastic. We got players that don't want to play anything else but 5e. That's fine. That's great. We've come to understand what that game is and what it's about, and some other games that are similar to it, or other games that you guys play. Like, there's a level of expectation involved. Like, if somebody says, hey, I'm going to play OSE, my first thing is like, are we playing like by the rules? Swords and Wizardry. Like, Gabe's running that. Okay. Is there like weird rules that aren't in this book that we need to be aware of? Like, what does that look like? How do you handle death? Is it 0, neg 10, minus your constitution? Is there a save? No save? Like, you're dead right away? Like, just some weird things that may not be completely fleshed out. But the thing is, even with house rules, you can't be like, well, at the end of the game, when you fight the big bad, all the house rules I mentioned, yeah, that shit's out the window. Or is it? I don't know. Solar says, I had a great time running a dragon hunting adventures in Burn 2D6 where the PCs had that exact same scenario, crawling through a muddy tunnel in a riverbank, 3 feet wide, super scary, tons of fun. Yeah, I think sometimes the environment is very much downplayed. You're wet. You just came out of the water. That's a miserable time, man. What's that going to do on your character? Exhaustion, whatever. But, different games handle it in different ways. So I just wanted to bring that up because it's like the White Tower, the Ivory Tower. Monty Cook's Ivory Tower blog entry. Like, they looked at Magic the Gathering and how the different cards had different synergies with each other. And they're like, that kind of impacted and had a role in how he designed 3rd edition. Like, the very out there to be found and read. And to kind of deny that that's not part of the game, and then yelling at people because they min-max, it's kind of like, I don't know. That's not, you might not like it, but are they wrong? I mean, if I play Castles and Crusades and I create a fighter and the fighter is like, I don't fight. I am, I have a prop. What is it? What the hell? I'm trying to find the term. A conscientious objector, right? And I don't fight. I don't do violence, but I'm a fighter. Like, does that even go in hand? Well, that's actually good role playing stuff, Sean. I'd allow that. Well, of course, because every time there's going to be a fight, this dude's going to be sitting on the sidelines, and people are going to be looking at me with my like 10 hit points and, 15 armor, 18 armor class and going, WTF, dude? A fighter who is actually a theater performer and only knows how to do stage fighting and carries around a wooden sword. Too funny. All right. I thought it was a interesting dynamic because I think the struggle is real. This is not going to go away with some games. And I think people will hold on to a game. Oh, they will hold on to a game. They will, I want to play this game. This is my game. I don't want to play anything else. And they will fight that shit tooth and nail to the end. Harrigan says they could defend. Well, they could. They could defend. They could be a defender. That's a very good point. I'm going to stand in everybody's way. Boom. Who says in one of my first 5e games, the paladin only did defense? Tad says, so the Three Amigos. Roger says, but isn't that why players want to play 5e and GMs don't want to run 5e? Right. Like, it's kind of got to be the deal. Like, you got to just go, hey, this is what they're able to do. That's kind of it. So you either have, so if the CR is 12 and your characters are all, average 12, see, sometimes I think the CRs are wrong. And frankly, there's the dice. I mean, don't play with dice. You go. As soon as you go, there's games out there that if you attack, you automatically do damage, and then damage is done back to you. No dice rolls. Very simple, very straightforward. It's going to be a tit for tat kind of thing. That's what's going to happen. So, yeah, when you've, analyze D&D-ish games that require dice rolling, and you've got a party that's hot and you suck, guess what? It doesn't even matter if you nerf them. They're just going to overwhelm the one tune that you have. And, so it's going to be all over. But you know what? The funny thing is you could have another battle the next week and it could be totally different. That's kind of the deal, right? It's so weird listening to a bunch of people who don't play a lot of 5e talk about 5e. They don't play it now or haven't played it in the past. Has D&D 5e changed in the last 3 or 4 years? Chris? I could be wrong. Solar says, when I was a coach, we picked teams that our guys would probably beat. Other games that were a toss-up. And some games that were probable losses. I GM the same way. I said, no, Rob, in my online PF2E game, I had one player roll 6 crits in a row with the Foundry dice. I've never seen that before. Chris says, haven't delved into it so they understand the math and how it plays. Yeah. Anyways. So I got a boogie in 10 minutes. I don't, dog, for those that, oh, hey, for everybody that's here, do me a favor, hit the like button. Smash it, if you will. Smash it with your fist through your monitor. So you have to buy a new monitor and upgrade it and be awesome. Don't do that. I have to put a disclaimer for us Americans. Don't do that. Hot coffee. Substance inside may be hot. Ryan West, I've played 5e since it came out and currently in a game. Unfortunately, yes, 5e has changed in the last 3 to 4 years. Feats for everyone at level 1. Really? Sean, I hope everything goes well with your dog and that you and everyone have a safe weekend. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, my love is well known. Guys like Mike Shea and those folks have essentially guides to help play the game at speed with quality experiences. Yeah, they do. For sure. I am not even close to the things that Mike knows about 5th edition or even you, Chris. But at the same time, I don't think I need to based on the argument that he's making. He points out the problem for me to say, hey, look, gently presses the like button. Gently caress it, if you will. Thanks, Tad. Flint says some DMs and GMs have to be willing to put their egos aside and let their players win from time to time. Yeah, let them win. Let them win. It's a balance. It's definitely a balance. Like, you want a game that's like they're not walking through everything. Although there's players that probably love that. Yeah, I'm gonna speed run. I'm gonna speed run Tomb of Annihilation. I don't know. Let it go. Like, roll out in the open. Let everything fall where it may. In 5e game, everything's CR based. Put out an appropriate CR. Let the dice do the rest. See what happens. See what happens. Play and see what happens. Premise that D&D is a kind of game is legit. Don't play it if you don't want that. High fantasy players can pull some shenanigans styled experience. For sure. Absolutely. That's all I'm saying. Absolutely. Yeah. If that is not the experience that you want to play as a game master or play as a player, then don't play 5e. If you don't like the experience of Forbidden Lands with, hex crawling and survival and then don't play that game. Very simple. But speedrun Tomb. Yeah. Mike has a very good grasp of the rules. Absolutely. Absolutely, no question. And he changes them to actually challenge his players. I don't think the rule set challenges against players. They're so afraid to kill a player. Character. They're probably afraid to kill a player, too. That would be inherently bad. So be afraid of killing players, Ryan. I'm going to think that was a typo and they're afraid to kill characters. Flint says our DMs and GM have to willing to take the L from time to time and not take it personally. It works both ways, L's and W's. Victor says when you pick a game to play, you are choosing to engage with the rules. Pick the game you will get along with. Yeah. I have a rule at my table that players cannot be killed. How'd you come up with that rule, Rob? The local sheriff instilled it in me. My parents. Morality. Chris says, but if you want to play different kinds of 5e, there are resources out there to do it, but it comes with various amounts of effort and buy-in. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. There's so many games. Oh, that's why a lot of people get frustrated with folks that are like trying to I'm going to put this over the anvil and I'm going to pound it with a hammer all day long. I'm going to make 5e work for me. No, I don't care that there's a cyberpunk game out there. I'm going to use 5e to make a cyberpunk game. And some of those are really good. On the other hand, it all depends on what you want out of it. Some players wear that fact that they are on the 5th character as a badge of glory. Others play 5e. Right. Barcelonia 5e, Lord of the Rings 5e, both great variants. Symbaroum 5e, although I don't know. Savage Worlds does the same thing and we don't give it shit. I don't know. Savage Worlds gets a lot of beef with Bennies, like one-shotting their big bads. I think the similar argument that Mike comes up with can be applied to Savage Worlds. But here's the deal. If you're the biggest person in the room, it's 5e. That's it. That's, I don't know. That would be a weak argument on my part, but hey. John, good to see you. Morning. If you're the 500-pound gorilla, everybody wants a piece of you. So when I go to prison, I got to take out the biggest guy. Exert my dominance. Show my dominance. .5e is a fine game. I have no beef with 5e, but I think you gotta embrace it for what it is. You just do. Or if you want to tweak it and your players are all right with that, great. It's all about understanding and setting expectations. But sometimes it's like, I mean, why are you playing 5e? Go around the table. Why are you playing 5e? 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 And some of them will have similar answers and some of them will be different. Some will be like my buddy Joe. I don't care. I don't care what we're playing. Like, kind of makes me worried. Like, he's going to run OSC and, he's like, he's going to run the next game, face-to-face game I'm in. Castles and Crusades was on the table. OSC was on the table. Joe is the game master, says, it doesn't matter what I run. I'm like, oh boy. Okay. Orcus Dorcas, while exploding dice has a lot to do with that, for sure. John says, good morning. It's hard to play in the Forgotten Realms without leaning into the heroic fantasy playstyle. I think that colors the 5e experience, for sure. Roger says, I absolutely give shit to Suede. The one shot I ran this Wednesday, I didn't get a single hit on the 3 PCs. They nuked both my wildcard baddies with single rolls that ace damage to the extreme. So there you go. Ty, good morning. Harrigan, Savage Worlds characters are pulp heroes, not superheroes, and I don't see how MB factors here. Yeah, I don't know where Merkborg is. Solart says, interested to see what this new MCDM system is going to be. Promises something different. Yeah, and it's not too far around the horizon, I believe. This is what my understanding. So, yeah, I'm not even into crowdfunding or print news. It's kind of a slower week. There's not a ton of stuff that was... The crowdfunding could be interesting. I didn't go through all those details, but... I'm going to hang this up in like 5 minutes because I got to take my dog to the vet. The argument is tired and invalid compared to the original discussion when it starts to be about stop doing X with a game, just like to remind folks that maybe don't bash a game. Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with 5e. I'm talking about like the people that are having issues with it. But I think you gotta call the game for what it is. Savage Worlds, Delta Green, Call of Cthulhu. Like, Call of Cthulhu's gotten bashed for years. Oh, go insane and die. Oh, what a fun game. Like, nobody plays it only on that premise. Never played it before. At least some of us have mentioned 5e and we've played it. Accidental Rob says, Coriolis Dark tokens drive me nuts sometimes. I haven't played Coriolis, but I think Hoos is running it. I know they're coming out with a second edition, and I'm like, I don't know what they would need to fix because I haven't played it. But he's like, the combat's a little wonky, so maybe that has to do with it, Rob. I don't know. Ryan says Mike does say a lot. D&D is your game. Do with it what you want to do to make it fun. Yeah, that's fine. Harrigan, yeah. I've been wondering, Rob, if the rumor 2E will remove dark tokens. Is that a big swing in Coriolis that really like messes things up? Does it break the game? Break the game. It's another phrase, right? Breaks the game. What does it mean to break the game? That's D&D, not 5e. 5e is the underlying system like Savage Worlds or BRP. Everyday Heroes is a pretty decent 5e adaptation. Oh, it's like arrogance referring to the dark tokens. It's like giving GM doom or threat in 2D20. Interesting. December 7th for MCDM crowdfunding. Good to know. Ty, you gotta chill out, bro. Not everybody agrees with you. That's that type of comment they'll get. Like, that's no bueno. Solar says, as we end our 5e campaign in January, I'm going to offer a few 5e options and new non-5e games like Lex Arcana, John Carter, and my own Burn 2D6. Accidental Rob, as a player, I was dealing heavy hits to enemies. GM was using dark tokens to knock back my hits to deal little to no damage. It's in the rules, it's legit, but man, that's tough. Just play Barcelona. Rob, you just armed the adversarial GM. So we talk about Shadows in the Dark. I do want to know Shadow Dark. Like, I want to know more about that game. It intrigues me because it's gotten a lot of hype and it's had a huge Kickstarter, right? A lot of people are even playing it now. And what's her name was at Gamehole Con, which was nice. I'm just interested to see the differences between the two. All right, I'm going to shut her down, unfortunately. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. I hope you all had a good Thanksgiving, wherever you may be, whether you celebrated in your see, there's my alarm. I had to set it just so I didn't talk too long for too long. I still got to get him into the car, which is going to be fun because he's blind. He's going to wig out. But I got enough muscle to plop his ass in there. Hopefully he doesn't fight me. Thank you to all of these folks for supporting me with a few shekels each month. I appreciate it. BSRCon is still going in a few days. Patrons will have the ability to register for events. And then the 8th of December, everybody will be able to register for events. So I think we've still got like close to 30, and many of them are not duplicate systems. There might be one or two. I put in a seminar. Rob and I will be talking about Foundry. I'm doing an hour on Foundry. He's got a great outline. Thanks, Rob, for doing the legwork. If you're interested to know more about Foundry, we'll see. And yeah, what else? No other announcements necessarily. I'll be here next week for sure. Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for the well wishes. Hey, Matt, Katron, thanks. Yeah. It's just another day. Thanks, Orcus Dorcas. Appreciate it. So go play some games. Buy some ones that were on sale. There's some good deals out there. The ones that caught my eye were like the Dracula dossier and Night's Black Agents PDF was like 80% off. I think Delta Green had a big 60% off. There's Pirate Borg that was marked down by like 50% or 40%. Some of the core books at Free League were down 50% off. But mostly just the core books at Free League, most of them. Coriolis, like every book marked down. Weird at Free League. And then we've got some other ones that are posted on the Discord. And if you haven't joined our Discord, see the link down below and, join the Discord. Consider going to BSRCon. It happens in January 19th, 2021. And be a positive force in the RPGs. Even though I talked about 5e. 5e, I'm going to finish it with this. 5e, fine game. Fine game. You love it? Love it. Play it. Great. What I was referring to is like, what happens when somebody's like, this isn't cool and all that. That's all. So, yeah. And if you don't like it, that's okay. Don't play it. It's all good. I'll let you all go. Thanks. And we'll talk to you later. See ya.